Is it possible to go into Samadhi by being in nature? Now, what's this word Samadhi? Huh? And by being in nature, I like your phraseology there, but I'm not sure, is it by being in nature, by knowing nature, by exposing yourself to nature? Well, we'll have to try all of those. Samadhi is a Sanskrit word that describes, in the ancient writings and the myths, a state of awareness that somehow encompasses more than your senses and more than your rationality. It's not opposed to them. Get me? It's just so much more. Let me make a very faulty analogy. Swami used to say, we are living in a house with one window. And we look out upon nature through that window. And that's all we see. And along comes the teacher and says, let me take you to the roof. You get the contrast? When you go up to the roof, 360 degrees. Oh my God. That's Samadhi. He also had an interesting, and I never liked it because it didn't tell me. He said, Samadhi is that state where all your questions are answered. Well, come on. Give me a little more. So you can put those two together. Now, by being in nature, oh boy. Okay, let's play it all out. The answer is yes. But I have to explain that. As far as the yogis in our tradition have discovered, there are two main paths to the highest states of awareness, Samadhi. Two main paths. One is through meditation, and the other is through contemplation. We'll talk about the difference, and we'll talk about which one would you choose. Basically, it's temperamentally. Some are inclined. And then he threw a ringer at me. He said, and sometimes some people are inclined towards both. We're going to go into contemplation tonight. And meditation too. Picture yourself following out your profession, your particular avocation, even your hobby, if you will. And you've been devoted now to your work, to your hobby, for a number of years. And you can look back and smile at how clumsy you were when you started out, how little you knew, right? The mistakes you made. And you gradually discovered that as you exposed yourself to the subject matter, something happened inside. You began to perceive relationships, associations, connections, levels, and somehow you could hold this all in your mind. You began to understand it in terms of analogies, comparisons, contrasts. And the more you exposed yourself to the subject matter, the more you felt comfortable working with it and less surprised by your lack of knowledge. What you were doing as you were probing this subject matter, you were gradually becoming more and more familiar by uniting your senses, your imagination, your reason, and by delving upon that subject matter, you became one with it. And you are known now as an expert in that field. People came to you with questions that you used to have years ago. And you could tell almost where they were in their clumsy ponderings about the subject matter. You were the expert, the minor sage, as it were. Within that field, you were becoming a contemplator. You were at ease with the knowledge. You could come in and size up the situation in regard to the subject matter, whereas beginners didn't know what was going on. You did. And they were astonished. You made it look so easy, and yet they were just struggling with their ponderings. That's the path of contemplation. The ponderings, the investigations, the probings. The word I used last night, heuristic. Heuristic means to take a clue and see if you can establish it as a fact through your experiencing the subject matter. It's almost like taking a hypothesis, and now let's see if I can ground that hypothesis so it's not simply a speculation, but it's a real insight, a truth, and not a guess. That's contemplation. But that's only the first part. There's more, much more, as you go on. There will be moments when you're following your subject matter when you will become astonished at what you're finding. You will simply be amazed at the radiance of the truth that you have come upon through your struggles sometimes. And suddenly it all makes sense. That's what's waiting for you at the end of the rainbow of contemplation. Now you know it. You have become a sage in that field. However, you will all have this experience, and I'm sure you have had it already, in some dosage. It's the usual one that I talk about. You're walking in the woods, and as you're walking along, you're suddenly taken with the shafts of light shining through. And maybe there was some rain the night before, and the drying of the water sends up mist. You're by yourself. You're so enthralled, you forget time, your problems. You are so enthralled and gathered with this experience, and it causes what we call an aesthetic arrest. You're simply united to that beauty. That's the goal of meditation and contemplation. It's the natural gazing upon the beauty of nature that enthralls you. That's contemplation. In order to induce that, so that it becomes more a part of your life, there are two requirements. The cultivation of the normal virtues of conducting yourself in a humane manner, in other words, being at ease in your humanness, in which people recognize you're a genuine person. You're trustworthy. Coupled with the active pursuit of meditation. They go together. Because in the act of meditation, you're entering into the matrix. Woo! Sometimes called Turiya, the fourth state of consciousness. Huh? You have sensory awareness, right? You have rational awareness. You have your memories. But what is the source of all that? That's the matrix. Your reason uses your nervous system, your brain. So do your senses. But where are they drawing their power? From the matrix. Most people will spend their life at that level, which is fine. They can earn a living, raise a family, become very successful, live intelligently, virtuously. But they'll never know Samadhi or the ultimate of contemplation. So you have been invited by the tradition to take your nature and expand it into the matrix. Now here's the catch. Once you begin to get into the matrix, you can keep calling upon it, and you can never use it up. Because that's the universe, as it were. So you can walk in the woods, and you can be astonished. That act of contemplation is a type of samadhi. Because it, as it were, takes you out of yourself. The normal self of being worried about your bills, your family, what's going on, what time it is, am I hungry? No, you're beyond all that. You don't deny it, you don't abolish it, but you go beyond it. So that gaze is a type of samadhi. And what you're doing now is you're getting the power of the matrix to allow you to have that experience with reality in front of you called nature. Let me give you my definition of mystery so you understand how I'm using it. Mystery means hidden truth. Technically, that's what it comes from. Mysterium in Latin. It doesn't mean something hocus pocus or no. It means there's so much there, you got to keep probing and probing to get at it. So there's a mystery here, meaning let's keep delving. More than the surface knowledge. No matter how honest and without any agendas, you're beginning to grasp it, there's still much more. That's what we call mystery. Now, you could do it, say, with your friend. I'm serious. Sometimes you can be sitting with a friend, and suddenly it hits you that you're so glad this person is in your life. That's the act of contemplation. You're almost speechless. You don't want to say, he or she in front of you doesn't know you're even thinking this, right? It's just happening. You're just so grateful in yourself that this human being is your friend. That's another one. That's the same thing as if you were walking in the woods. Right? So we have these little episodes. We look at our child and we realize this child came from me. Oh my God. Huh? And I'm entrusted with growing her into becoming a human being. I mean, that can overwhelm you. You know, bring tears to your eyes. That's an act of contemplation. So it just opens you up. And the problem with so many people, they stay so busy, they never have it.
So like music, poetry,
Exactly.
those kind of things.
Anything. For example, you might have a marvelous insight, you want to write a poem to your friend, okay? Maybe write something like this. I'm being totally spontaneous here. You happen to like haiku. I wonder why I chose haiku. You know, it's 575. First of all, how to honor her. She always exceeds my love. Mystery she is. That's my point. Sometimes you're so filled with the joy of having certain people in your life, it comes out in a poem. Huh? Or you go to look for a card, you gotta just send them just because you feel like it. Yeah, it's an act of love. That's the point. This is the hidden magic. I like that word. In contemplation, you fall in love with the vision. Huh? And by the way, Swami admitted to me one day, the end of meditation is contemplation. It prepares you for it. You fall in love with life. And here is this one, I can't figure it out yet. The act of being able to be so centered in the matrix, you become invincible. Undefeatable. Nothing can hurt you. Even if it tries. No. But that one is a mystery to me. My point, mystery, I know there's truth there, but I can't quite get it yet. That the act of reaching that level of awareness, you taste your immortality. It's the best verb I can use. You taste it. And in that tasting, you become invincible. Nothing can hurt you, even if it tries. Nothing. You're invincible. Because in that act of awareness, you will already know if someone's trying to pull a fast one. And you'll know how to avoid it. But, I mean, I'm calling upon a lot of experiences with Swamiji. And, trying to figure out. Good question. Once you know the order of things, this order like our chakras, is this universal? Yes. See, the chakras are essential part of our own matrix. You can't be human without them. You can't be alive as a human being without the chakras. It's the chakras that run your body. And they're responsible for all the energies in that area, the scope that pertains to them. When energy expresses itself, it has color, shape, and sound. And here's the secret. When you begin to move into the matrix by the expansion of your consciousness, you start to see them in people. And you can tell which one is more active, which one is being thwarted. Huh? I once asked Swamiji, when you have an appointment and somebody walks in, what do you see? He says, I don't see their external body like you do. Their whole body opens to me, and I look at the organs in their functioning, and they're emitting colors, and I know how to recognize the state of their health by the colors, the hues, the intensity, the dullness. I know what's bothering them, and I can see what they're thinking, and how that's affecting their nervous system. Now you know the order of things, huh? Excellent question. Here's a quote from Swamiji. The laws and the forces of nature are part of the will of consciousness. What does that mean? Good question. Okay, let's look at it this way. Intellect, will, action. This is the basis of Sri Vidya, which is the heart of our tradition. We go beyond yoga, we go beyond Vedanta, Sankhya, we go here. What are we saying here in our tradition? Obviously, intellect, the object of the intellect is to know reality. To be involved with the truth of things, which is what the essence of things are. They exist because they're true. Secondly, we can will things. That means we can manifest reality. And how do we do it? By doing it. Through action. And if you had to simplify, get right to the basic principles, what constitutes you as a being, you are composed of intellect, will, and action. Now think for a moment. You wanted to come here. Remember the paper yesterday? You had to have a plan, right? The plan's up here. What did you have to do to make that plan come true? You had to will it, but then you had to drive here. So you can see, this is the composition of every normal human manifestation in which you take responsibility for a plan of action. And it runs through the universe. And this is the heart of the matrix of possibilities. Because you had other possibilities besides coming here. You executed the plan of action because you selected from your own limited possibilities, your matrix. I'm going to go to Koinonia for this week. It's so simple. I was astonished when Swamiji introduced me to the heart of Sri Vidya, and he said, this is it, Jess. You are a nucleus composed of intellect, will, and action, and the universe is your field of exploration. So you are to become united to reality continuously. Why? Because you're going to enjoy it. Think about it. Do you not enjoy beholding people you love? Of course you do. You're in a small act of contemplation every time you do that. And meditation purifies you from any selfishness, hidden agendas, exploitation, narrow-mindedness. Gets that out of the way so that you can appreciate the truth and the beauty that you're beholding. Your mind is filled with all kinds of desires, isn't it? Huh? You're a mother, you got a job, you've got a certain task you got to fulfill, right? Okay. You've got memories. Some are lingering. Some are yet to sprout. You've got maybe little worries on your mind. Okay. You got a busy brain going. Okay. Now, let me come from another angle. You are preoccupied. Fine. You've made choices. Some are not fulfilled yet, but you're working towards it. Some are fulfilled, and you realize, I got to revise it. Got to redo it. Notice, all of that, as we say, are preoccupations that are normal and are necessary to live on this planet. Fine. But if you're going to spend only your time involved in that way, you will succeed. You will be pleased. Natural pride is healthy. But you'll never realize there's more to the matrix of your being. So meditation says, whoa, I don't want to deny the importance and the valuableness of all those preoccupations. Okay? Mm-hmm. But what I want you to do, lady or man, is I want you to realize you're more than your ideas. You're more than your ambition. You're more than your agendas, however important they are to your life and those that depend upon you. You are more. You're a matrix of possibilities that you need to recognize because it'll put the others in balance. And so meditation moves your awareness, as it were, away from the preoccupations in total. In total. And you slip back through meditation into closer and closer to the fullness, the plenum of the possibilities. You enter the void of nothing on my mind. It's a void. But it's the threshold to the plenum. And in that act, and this is the mysteriousness that I'm constantly investigating, in that act of moving into the void, of releasing any clinging, any holding on to the preoccupations, not to banish them, but for just the experience itself, in that void, you get renewed. Because you're drawing upon what's here. And what is here? Wisdom. Power. Beauty. You're starting to recognize you're much more than your accomplishments. And that's in no way to put them down. It's simply to make you realize, wow, what else is available? What else can I do? So it gives you a perspective that most people don't have. They're caught in their work world. They're worrying about their pension. And as they get older, they know they haven't been taking care of themselves and they're getting aches and pains. But you have a chance to say, wait a minute. I know what wellness is all about. I can reach into the matrix of my health. Most people always run to the doctor. They look for the quick fix, the palliative, the drug. But you have a greater sense of self-responsibility because you realize it actually exists here. Because you've tested it over the years. You've discovered through hatha, through breathing, through changing your diet, by experimenting. My God, I can, begin to shape my life the way I want to. That's what it's all about. So meditation gets you into the matrix so that you realize you have all this plenum, Latin for fullness, unbordered fullness. Isn't that interesting? The void to the plenum. The emptiness to the plenum.
Every time you dip into the void, then you're lessening your fears, your angers.
Yes, because you're leaving them behind.
Because they come up and you just let them go.
And you
right?
see what they're
Right.
for.
So,
A lot of imaginings,
right.
Unsubstantial.
And that's how it purifies?
That's the purification. That's the purification. The letting go is the purification. You don't have to work at it. That's the beauty of what the yogis discovered. Some people say, I got to do penance, and I got to make fast, and get up early in the morning. Now, good question coming up. Would you define, as our tradition understands it, consciousness, unconsciousness, and self-consciousness? Ooh, hey, what are we doing here? Okay, you know what consciousness is, huh? Consciousness means awareness. That's the simplest way. Let's keep it down on the ground. It manifests itself through your senses. I can smell the lasagna. I can taste the Haagen-Dazs. Okay. I can see the cobwebs. Okay. I can hear the woodpecker. What's the unconscious? I hate that term because it means basically your memories. They're not crowding in right now in this room. You're concentrating on what we're talking about. You're writing there. And every time you write and go on to the next sentence, what you did before now becomes part of your memory. In other words, when you absorb something through the consciousness, it slips to what I call the bank. You have the vault in you. I call the memory. Your memory is full of every single, and I mean this, experience you have ever had in this body. The problem is recall. People say, I have a bad memory. No, you have a bad recall. But you can improve that. Now, what does self-consciousness mean? This is an interesting one. Self-consciousness is what you people have been experiencing in a new way for the last 45 minutes. You're beginning to see there's more to you than you thought. Do you agree? Haven't you learned some new ideas about yourself that you didn't know before? That's now becoming part of your person. It's my understanding of myself. I'm a human being. I'm at this age. These are the things I like. These are the things I don't like. And I'm aware of that all the time. It's right there in a blinking of an eye, so to speak. So it's the way you conduct yourself for the being you are in time and space. And you're aware of that. That awareness is what we mean by self-conscious. The way the psychologists like to call it, and that's okay with me. Your heart is beating right now, right? But you don't know that. That's in your subconscious. The reason it's called consciousness is because you've got a blueprint in you that's running that heart. The digestion tonight of the lasagna is going on in you. You don't have to direct it. You don't even know what part's being digested, but it's going on in you. That's the subconscious. You do? This one does all the time. You follow it through all the channels inside. Basically, that's the way they look at it. So your nervous system, the way it's operating, the glands, all of those, that's part of the subconscious. Because Think for a moment, all the complicated actions that are going inside you. Just think if you had to be aware of that and make sure they're all running the same way, you'd never get anything done. So you turn it over. Interesting the way we're built. Our matrix has turned it over to another level that's responsible for it, and we call it metabolism. So the metabolic level is part of your subconscious. That's all. That's the way to look at it. Simplest way. Because it's a part and it has limitations, guess what? It's under the domain of the matrix. That means you can step in and say, I'm going to speed up my heart. I'm going to speed up my digestion by saying rum, rum, rum. I'm serious. I can clear up something that may have been, why did I eat that? I got to take care of that. So what you do is you excite that dimension of your being by using the chakra that fits that area, and that steps in and improves the situation. Because that's its purpose. To streamline, what's gotten a little confused. So, see, the subconscious is not the highest. It is under the domain of a higher consciousness that you possess. And so you can deliberately step in and change and alter to some extent in a normal way. The normal, everyday use of our intellect, our will, and our action is what I call naturality. We all have it, we all share it, we're familiar with it. Doesn't surprise us. It slips sometimes, but we can correct it. Okay. Now guess what? Due to our ability to begin to investigate ourselves, yoga, through the help of meditation, our naturality begins to expand into what I call, hang on, supernaturality. That's the expansion of our nature. And what is supernaturality? We're now moving into the matrix, the state of consciousness called Turiya, that Swamiji talks about. It's where where you have access, I love that word, you have access to the powers that are sitting right here, waiting for you to discover. They're all in you, but you don't know that. Oh Lord. Think of yourself when you learned how to dance. Think of some of you who were very good in athletics. You started out, oh boy, you got to work. Yeah. But what gradually began to happen? The power within. You didn't get it from the outside, did you? It all came from within. The skill, the artistry, the strength, the speed, the swiftness, the agility. It just came from you because it was in the matrix of your consciousness in its embodiment in your body. The combination did it. Now, keep taking that further so that you can use the intellect more. Keep it going. The will more. The action more. So that you can say, I want this tree to blossom next week, even though it's December. Guess what's going to happen? You have that ability. Think for a moment. In a miniature way, you are always exercising a glimpse of the matrix in this way. You decide you want to learn crocheting. And you decide to crochet a sweater. Where does the skill come from? It came from you. You took matter and you began to rearrange it, but you put your intelligence into it through your fingers. So your body became the means, the instrument for the mind. And that's what its purpose is. To express your creativity, and that is a minor expression of the matrix that's within you. You created the sweater. Never been done before. The color, the shape. It's your product. And that there's a joy in that. And Swami used to say, that's how you learn to enjoy life. By creating it. You do it when you extend a hand to your friend. You bake a cake, a surprise for their birthday. You're thrilled. And you're thrilled that they're thrilled. So stay attached to that joy. You're meant to. Don't give it up because you wouldn't be human. So we're in a constant, you might say, opportunity on the threshold of manifesting ourselves. Each day you get up, you're extending your being in the world. And then suddenly that day's going to be different. It might snow, it might rain. Somebody calls you up. Oh boy, now you've got to just respond to that. That's the power that you're drawing upon within yourself in order to connect with reality. And that's the joy of living. People sometimes get a little confused. They think, well, Samadhi's out there. Enlightenment's out there. I've got to strive for it. Yeah, but not quite in the rigid way you just came up with it. I want to use one word, and then we'll explain it. All of that is a process. It's a ripening. In other words, you're already in it, but at the beginning stages. When you plant a seed, you plant a tree. All of a sudden the sprout comes. It's a tree, but it's in sprout form. The sprouts get stronger. It starts to grow, thicken. It's a tree, but it's growing. It's not a mature tree yet. It hasn't reached the fulfillment, but it's in the process. So it's exerting its nature all along the way. You are exerting the nature of samadhi, enlightenment, self-realization all along the way as you engage life properly. So that's your sadhana, as we say in Sanskrit terms. You are grooming yourself, right? That's what you're doing. You're taking out the kinks. You're pressing yourself at times. Okay, I've got to get this posture down, but don't force it. You'll hurt yourself. So I got to learn. I got to pay attention here. And so I have to attend to my intention. And that's what you do. So you are self-growing. Just like the tree doesn't depend on you, ladies and gentlemen. She is growing by herself. She's getting, the sunlight is coming in, the rain, the weather. So likewise, you are taking your own vitality, which you've been born with, and now you're reshaping it into becoming an adult. And that process keeps going until finally you reach the full disclosure of your matrix. Oh my God, I got all these possibilities, and I didn't know that. That's why there's no room in our tradition for feeling sorry for yourself. Come on, get past it. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes things will come in and they'll thwart you. Okay, I'll go around. I'll rephrase my process here. That's all you do. Now, your powers have all kinds of latent possibilities. You can improve your memory, You can improve your perception. You can become more acutely aware of your environment. Precisely because you can choose to. That's your freedom. And the bonus is, in that act of self-training, your freedom increases. So, how do we improve memory? Shall we do it? Watch what I'm doing. You're going to concentrate up here, the space between your two eyes. Close your eyes. And you're going to draw 1, let it go. 2, let it go. 3, let it go. 4, as sharply as you can. You imagine, you get my point? You image those numerals. It may be foggy, it may slip, don't worry, you're just starting out. You're going to be clumsy. 1, 2, and you always draw them in the same way. So you'll get familiar with that after a while. 3, 4, breathing, how? 5, you go up to 10. Now you got 2 digits. Now go backwards. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, all the way down to 1. You just do that once. That's it. Now keep adding digits. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. And Swami told me, when you really get, as it were, familiar with that process, once a month you go to 1,000 and back. And that will hold your memory in sublime form. Don't rush. Just build. Each day maybe try to go maybe 5 more numbers, and then go back. Now you're going to slip. That's okay. You're going to start to, improve like anything else. If you were a dancer, you're going to miss your partner, and so what? Each day, don't go beyond. Don't add the next 5 until you got the first group down cold. Okay? So some of you might be able to do it in 3 days, add 5. Some of it might take 5 days to add 5. Doesn't matter. But if you do it every day in a relaxed state, sitting or lying down, Shavasana, play with it. It's just simple, but a very powerful tool to help memory. There are others, but that's the one that Swamiji taught me that he learned in the cave.